In this video, we'll be taking my RC autonomous camera boat out for its first tests on the water since the hulls have been upgraded. We test the power, the new camera, and search under the water. But first, we'll start the new build of the hull. For an in-depth of the components of the boat, check out the last video. I love the hull that I designed for this boat. I mean, look at it, come on, a thing of beauty. I mean, it's clear, but the time has come for me to design something a little more traditional and a little more trustworthy. I mean, come on, we can't really rely on these rubber seals at the end, compressed by 3D printed plates on the edge. I present to you a hull filled with foam, so it's unsinkable. So the last steps for the new hull are these 4 plates. So basically, you've got 2 of these on top and 2 of these underneath. And the advantage of this is that if it hits anything underneath the water, then we can just replace it. So let's begin by preparing the holes in the top of the hull here. Right, we've finished the plates on the top, as you can see, and now it's time to move on to the plates on the bottom. Right, the top and the bottom are now done. I don't have any footage of me finishing off putting the screws in the bottom because that took longer than I would ever like to admit. Basically, it's not a problem, but you've got tension because you're trying to line these up perfectly, but it looks pretty good. So that is how the hull is, and it's pretty solid really. On the first day, we decided to take the boat out to a canal. This was mostly to make sure that it wouldn't sink, as the plan was to send it out to a river the following day. If it started to sink in the canal, there was only half a metre of slow moving water, and honestly that sounded like an easier recovery than a fast moving river. There was one thing that we noticed as soon as we put the boat in the water, and that was that it sits very low. Now, we know that we've added extra payload because we've got a new action camera and a new light underneath, but it does beg the question, do we need a bigger hull? And if so, what improvements can we make to it on the next one? I'm going to be doing a review at the end of the video of all of the things that I've noticed, but let me know in the comments of any improvements that you think I can make. There was another thing that we noticed, and that was the boat was still quite loud. Now, it's kind of unfair because if you see in this footage in the canal, we're changing between fast and slow to prove that the boat won't tip over. In real terms, the boat will be moving very slowly, and the only time that it really needs a lot of power is if it's fighting a lot of current in the river. We were able to get some good footage above the water, but the canal just left us with underwater footage looking like this. The next day, we walked down 1,000 steps to get to the river, which was the perfect spot for testing. As soon as we got there, we discovered the boat had been damaged in transit. So we've just this second gotten to the river, and I go to look at the boat, and I've just realised that we've got a break. So, since I don't have any super glue or a 3D printer here, we've got to work out a way to get this secure so we can actually get some footage on the water. When I first made the boat, I had this thick braided fishing line, and I used this to tether it in case I ever lost it so I could just reel it back in. Now, this was the perfect thing as a kind of tie around the snapped piece in order to keep it in place. Right, in my mind, that has got to hold, in theory, at least for now, but I think it's highlighted that this needs to be designed a bit better to not put all of the stress on this piece of plastic. With our temporary fix complete, we were ready to send the boat out into the river. Immediately, even without the camera underneath the boat, we can already see straight through. As the camera was mounted underneath the boat for the first time, we were greeted by fish all around us. Because they didn't swim away, it highlights to me that maybe they're not too fussed about the noise from the motors. We continued to test the boat, making sure that it was still agile and precise even when there was current. If we're planning on using it for waypoint missions and using the fish finding for depth mapping, then we need to know that it's going to be able to go to each part of the water without having any issues. Right, we're back and the boat is still in one piece. Well, actually, we've still got our temporary fix here and it's still holding up fine, but that will be fixed. we've established a couple things, and the first thing is it needs a different hull. So I like this hull, but it needs to be shaped much more traditionally, and we're gonna make a big improvement. Now, I don't want to ruin too much for the next episode, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually have a rail here so we can move this to and from on the hull in order to change the distribution of weight depending on what payload we have on the boat. The next thing is to test much more thoroughly with the lights. Now, we tested the light in the canal, but that was not the right place. In the river, we had a lot of natural light, so we didn't need it at all. But it would be good to test how much difference this makes, and if it actually improves us seeing further in the water. As you can see, there's still a lot to do. We're also going to do more tests with this fish finder and see if we can do some depth mapping with some waypoint missions. Let me know in the comments what you saw from some of the footage that we took. And thank you for watching.